So I guess the lesson here should be to never doubt a multi-billionaire free speech advocate who invented the ability for rockets to land themselves and be reused. In a stunning move that has now been confirmed by multiple sources, Elon Musk is apparently closing in on a deal to buy Twitter. On Sunday evening, Red State reported that his offer was being reconsidered. Now, per the New York Times, things have progressed to the point where they are, quote, nearing a deal. Quote, Twitter is nearing a deal to sell itself to Elon Musk. Two people with knowledge of the situation said a move that would unite the world's richest man with the influential social networking service. Twitter's board was negotiating with Mr. Musk into the early hours of Monday over his unsolicited bid to buy the company after he began lining up $46.5 billion in financing for the offer last week. Said the people who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss such confidential information. The two sides were discussing details including a timeline to close any potential deal and any fees that would be paid if an agreement were signed and then fell apart, they said, unquote. That from the New York Times. Now, just a few hours after the Times, Bloomberg and Reuters began reporting that a deal is imminent. Now, this is certainly a reversal from where most thought things stood just a few days ago. It was assumed that the board, which has publicly shown itself to be, let's say, anti-Musk, had successfully fended him off by executing a poison pill strategy regarding shares. So what exactly changed? Well, my speculation is that Twitter realized they were opening themselves up to massive legal liability by outright refusing Musk's extremely generous offer. You see, shareholders would have likely had the right to sue for breach of fiduciary duty. Musk himself may have had cause as well, given he was the company's largest shareholder until the board began its little scheme. Further, the board was putting itself in danger of shareholder revolt given its clearly political maneuvering. Those jobs are lucrative, and it'd be better for the board members to cash out now than to be booted internally later. Now, to put a slight damper on things though, just because they are nearing a deal doesn't mean it's for certain. These liberals are cagey critters. I do think Musk has shown himself to be determined enough that it will eventually happen, a shift from what I originally thought when he first made his offer. But I want to see the ink dry, if you know what I mean, before I start having too much fun with this. Yet still, it's priceless to see the reaction coming from Musk's possible acquisition of the social media giant. Left-wing accounts, both big and small, are pledging to leave the platform. They're going to go to Canadian Twitter, eh? Remember that? Because of the grave threat of the possibility of less censorship of mainstream political opinions. I add that qualifier because contrary to the hysterical proclamations, I do think Musk will keep a baseline TOS in place regarding speech on the platform. The difference will be that it will be applied equally. As it stands, left-wing accounts can spread disinformation, harass people, and dox people without any repercussions, while saying a man can't be a woman gets you banned. That's going to change if Musk takes over. Regardless, all of these left-wing accounts virtue signaling about how they will leave are basically full of shit. They are not going to walk away from the only real influence they have. And no, there is no Canadian Twitter. I have approached this Twitter situation a little differently over the last couple of years than most on the right. You see, I refuse to leave Twitter unless I'm kicked off. Nonetheless, these threats from the left are empty. They're empty threats just like the right-wing accounts that threatened to do so after the Hunter Biden censorship. There is nothing to be gained by voluntarily giving up ground that is valuable to fight on. The way I see it, we can't just give up the virtual town square to Washington Post employees and pretty little millionaire actresses as they teach our children how to become leftist loons and go slap each other on the back on some small alternative social media site. If we do, things will get much, much worse. We need to stand, we need to fight. That's just my 2 cents. Regardless, you can expect the takes to be hot and hilarious going forward. Political Armageddon approaches, folks. Grab your popcorn.
I think Elon's doing great work here. he's got his finger on the pulse. The American people are just so sick and tired of censorship. They're sick of this manipulation. These tech companies are corrupt. Many are inefficient. I think Twitter especially has been horribly run for decades, basically, right? For as long as it's been a company. And Elon I think he's going to take it over.
There was Blake Masters yesterday with me. He is the former COO of Teal Capital, now running for an Arizona Senate seat. The world's richest man could very well ultimately own Twitter. The Wall Street Journal reporting it's possible a deal could be reached as soon as this week, as Elon Musk's folks and Twitter met yesterday. Musk's initial offer of $43 billion for the social media company was first viewed as unlikely to be successful. The board, of course, rebuffed him initially, but now they say they are reconsidering this deal as he shows he is going to have more funding. Angela Morbito, your thoughts here? Look, he's willing to put $15 billion of his own money on the table to make this happen.
I would like to see him do it. I think it would be very, very interesting to actually see a free speech platform be able to be used for free speech. But look, even if Elon Musk never spends a dime on Twitter, just by talking about these offers so publicly, he's actually done a really interesting service in that people now realize just how many folks at Twitter are scared at no longer being able to censor viewpoints they don't like. He's exposed what's kind of going on in that company in terms of who really gets to speak freely and who doesn't. So while I would like to see this go through, I think it would be fascinating. Even without it, Elon's done something pretty cool.
Yeah, well, look, the reaction from the left and from Twitter users has been really rich, given the fact that there's been no comment about Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett or George Soros owning so many assets. And yet, when it comes to the libertarian who might lean conservative, Elon Musk, Michael, well, that's a problem.
Yeah, look, the left and the establishment of this country has to control the narrative because so much of what they say is jumping the shark on a daily basis. And a lot of the narrative that is pushed on our throats is just completely tethered from reality. So if you take that aspect out of it, this makes perfect sense from a business standpoint. If this deal doesn't go through, Tesla stock is headed, I'm sorry, not Tesla, Twitter stock is headed to the 30s, if not the 20s. This company has never really been monetized. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Jack Dorsey started Square a couple years before Twitter went public, and that was a very successful venture from him. And when you're running two companies like that, the way he was kind of in their growth phases, it's really hard to manage two at once. How Elon would do this? Well, first of all, bring back free speech, bring back a fresh set of ideas as to how to run this company. I think Elon's proven that he can run several successful ventures simultaneously, one of the few people in the world that could do that. And then also, look, you're a board, you can't accept the first offer, you want to get more money. I said last week on the show that I thought this deal would get done. I thought it would get done in the high 60s because I think Twitter wanted 75, and Elon came at 55. Maybe it gets done in the low 60s, but this is going to happen. Elon has the money. He's more liquid now than he ever has been in his entire life based on his stock sales from last year. I think he's sitting on more liquid cash than any other individual in the world. And it's a small margin loan, small amount of financing against the operations of Twitter. And this deal actually gets done. And to reorganize a company like this, the best way to do it is as a private company, not a public company. So from a business standpoint, this makes perfect sense. And then this is good news for free speech and the public square. And I think these passion projects is what has made Elon rich. So PayPal was to revolutionize payments. Tesla was to revolutionize electric cars. SpaceX is to revolutionize space travel. So now we'll revolutionize the public square.
Hey, you make really great points, Michael, but real quick, is it worth $50 billion?
Yeah, well, look, when you have this big of a user base, okay, you can turn these social media companies into ATM machines. I mean, look at how much money Facebook has made over the years. Obviously, the stock's down from its highs based on the iOS platform changes, but you can make a lot of money with this many users.
All right, great point.
Most of this came by way of redstate.com. If you liked it, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. There's a PayPal link in the description box, so please put $1 in the bucket on the way out the door. I'd like to thank everyone for all your donations. They're much needed and much appreciated. Now, with all that being said, we'll see you next time.
Come on, move. Move. Easy, easy.